All right, so it looks like I am ready to kick off day one of whether you call it Autism Acceptance Month, Autism Awareness Month, or Autism Month. Um, I decided to do a late night one because I believe, over the weekend, I'm sure folks will have a chance to watch this short video. I'm going to try not to keep these too long, but I wanted to make sure that I came on tonight to talk about autism, a developmental disability. And I wanted to share a couple of thoughts because as I was trying to prepare myself for the content this month, I wanted to make sure that I did a balance of education. I talked about some resources. I provided some much needed tips and information as I continue to learn about this very, very diverse condition called autism. Now, as I said, autism is a developmental disability. It is not a disease. It is not something that you can put an oil or a pill to. It is a disability. And with that comes a variety of things that may need to be addressed. It could be social issues, could be behavioral issues, could be communication issues, but nonetheless, there are different things, different challenges that autistic children and adults have to face on a daily basis. And these challenges are not all just due to their disability. Some of these challenges are due to the way the rest of the world interacts. So, as an example, I have a 15-year-old nephew who is autistic. He is non speaking, so he definitely uses different communication devices and some gestures, a little bit of I would call it sign language, in order to communicate with us. And because of his challenges with communication, it requires some patience, some time, some attention in order for us to sometimes understand, what he's talking about in terms of what his needs are, or if he's trying to express something. It takes a little bit of time to figure out what it is that he's trying to express sometimes. Now, he's learned some basic things that help him communicate. He's learned to have some different mechanisms of expressing himself, but it's not without challenges, of course, because, as I said, in addition to his condition, he deals with the reactions of the world around him. So when I say autism, a developmental disability, I acknowledge that autism has some things that we all in the world around autistic people need to understand and need to be able to digest. And it's not an easy thing to do because it's one of those conditions that you can't really put one finger on it. So when we talk about autism, we talk about a spectrum of disorders. That means no two autistic people are exactly alike, just like no two people are exactly alike. So we have to take that with an understanding of the way that we interact with those who are autistic has a lot to do with our misunderstanding of autism and what it entails. So as I go in through a few details tonight, I wanted to share a couple of things. So this month, for Autism Acceptance Month, we are going to be going through a journey together. I'm going to be sharing some different things from different segments of the population. So as an example, if you are on Instagram and have some time to kind of look around, you can find information from those who are actually autistic. It's a hashtag. So you go to actually autistic, the hashtag, and it kind of can help you get an inner understanding of how those who are autistic see the world around them, as well as what things we do, thinking about the things that we do that impact them in a negative way. Let me give you a good example. Tomorrow is World Autism Awareness Day. And I've noticed in the autistic community um, a bit of a pushback from this whole concept of lighting it up blue and wearing blue. So they've come up with their own thing. It's basically wearing red. And some of the issues surrounding this color scheme and the symbolism, like the puzzle piece, um, some of the issues have to do with hurt and pain, things that those who are actually autistic have experienced that maybe most of us would not be able to understand. And so, my goal in this month is to not only look at autism from my perspective as an auntie, as a caregiver, as a supporter of an autistic teenager. My perspective is to also share information with you, the viewers, as well as my friends and family, to share as many details as I can about autism, not only from my perspective, but also doing a bit of surveying of those who are actually autistic. And I think one of the problems that we have in the autism community is oftentimes there are no actually autistic voices involved in conversations. So when decision making is being had, or events and activities and awareness type events are being done, you know, the decisions are often being made by those like myself, caregivers, those who work in the profession, those who have an understanding of what autism is, or maybe they interact with people who are autistic, or have people in their family who are autistic. But it's important to have different perspectives at the table. So if you don't have actually autistic individuals as part of the conversation in your organization, it creates a little bit of a conflict. Because how do we know what those who are actually autistic need without really having some of their voices at the table? So that's something that I wanted to share with you. So I wanted to make sure that you know that I will be going live from my YouTube channel all month long. Sometimes just a little late night chat. Sometimes I'll be out and about at some autism event. And other times I may be sharing some online content that will help you understand a bit more about autism. And so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You just go to Sandy, the letter B, and the word law, and you can subscribe and like these videos, and support the channel. Also, please know that I will be participating in the SFAX walk, which is South Florida Autism Charter School, where my nephew attends school. And that will be taking place on Saturday, April the 9th, at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am going to be challenging my friends, family, and those who are supporters of this channel to participate in the walk from wherever you are. So if you cannot attend the walk, which is happening down here in Hialeah, Florida, you can participate in the walk from wherever you are. And if you want to make a donation to the walk, to the Friends of South Florida Autism, which supports South Florida Autism Charter Schools and South Florida Autism Center, I will definitely post information so that you can see it on the YouTube channel as well. And I wanted to share as well that I'm going to be participating in a series of LinkedIn audio videos with a amazing gentleman named Troy Holt, who will be my host and supporting my presentation of different information regarding estate planning that all impacts our communities across the United States, preparing for the unexpected and the expected events in our lives. So I'll be talking about real estate and probate. I'll be talking about creating your trust, creating your durable power of attorney and your healthcare documents. I'll also be talking about misconceptions when it comes to wills and what they can and cannot do. And to add a little flair to it all, I will be providing a lot of this information with a undertone of autism. So I will be sharing some of the information in the context of how does it impact autistic children and autistic adults? How does it impact their families in terms of the planning that is needed to ensure that their long-term care needs are met. Um, but as well, just making sure that we have a well-rounded conversation. And, since it is Autism Acceptance Month, I want to make sure that we have that as a conversation. And in talking about this concept of autism awareness versus autism acceptance, there's something that I notice, and I even see it with myself. When we think about autism, the month comes along, we see all kinds of things going on. We see fundraisers, we see awareness events, we see folks doing all kinds of different things. But I think at this point we have reached the point of understanding, and we are aware that autism is part of our world. Autistic children and adults have a place in our world, and they need our support. And so I see a shift in the autism community where folks are talking about acceptance, um, as well as appreciation. That was something that I saw recently as well. So when you're thinking about autism and the month long activities that are going to happen throughout the month, um, I want you to think a little bit about your activities. If you're donating to any charities, what do you know about these charities? Where does their money go? Does it go to actually supporting families who have autistic children, autistic adults? Does it go mostly to research? Does it go mostly to support services? So that's something I want to make sure that you are aware of and that we take the time to look at. And if you have any questions or you want to share any topics during this month, I want you to make sure that you have an opportunity to reach out to me. Feel free to send me an email. I don't know why my throat is acting up today. I've been talking all day. So, as I round out this conversation about autism, a developmental disability, I want to say a couple of things. If you have the chance to, of course, do a little bit of research for yourself, to take a look at information regarding what autism is and what it isn't, I'll tell you this. Autism is a complex series of disorders. It's a spectrum of sorts. So I saw a visual recently that showed not a straight line, from like less severe to more severe, because that's kind of a bit challenging to use those terms about severity, right? Because all children with autism have different levels of things that go on. So I saw a diagram where it was showing autism in terms of a spectrum, but there's so many segments to the spectrum, and there's different levels to each segment in the spectrum. That is, I would say, more reflective of what autism is. It is a condition that has a lot of different faces. So even when I look at my nephew and I look at, let's say I looked at 10 children who are autistic and compared them to my nephew, I wouldn't find that they had exact, traits or characteristics. In a lot of ways, many times autistic children and autistic adults have their own characteristics and traits and personalities. And it's not like we're just looking at children in one fashion, right? They each have different things that they bring to the table. So I really want you to think a little bit about that, and think about the fact that, autism impacts the way that an individual sees the world, the way that they interact with the world, the way that they experience the world through their sensations. And they may have some very different experiences, some that are very painful, some that are very overstimulating, so it creates certain levels of hyperactivity. But it's just a very different thing. It's not something that I would say you can kind of mark up as just one set of things. It is a very diverse condition. And if you have a loved one who's autistic, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to keep this too long. I just wanted to hop on here, talk about autism, a developmental disability, not a disease now. We don't have a pill, we don't have a treatment, we don't have anything that completely eliminates autism like I have seen in certain instances. But definitely children and adults learn how to experience the world in their own way, learn how to engage with the world. And the goal is for us as their loved ones, as the other members in the community, as friends, as family members, it's for us to learn as much as we can and to be supportive, to be accepting, to appreciate those who are autistic for the contributions that they make in the world, which are many. So that's all I have for tonight. Unless you have any questions, concerns, or comments, I ask you to please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to put that up on the screen again. Sandy, the letter B, and the word law. Please consider attending the South Florida Autism Charter School Walk, which is happening on April the 9th. I will put the information in the description. And please look out for me on LinkedIn Audio. I'm going to be on there on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be sure to post that information in the description. And I definitely look forward to hearing from you throughout this month if you have any questions. So I'm going to drop my email so that you will be able to connect with me. But I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to kick off Autism Acceptance Month and talk about how autism impacts children, impacts adults, and really acknowledging it for the disability that it is, right? Really taking hold of the understanding that patience is needed, support is needed, and acceptance is needed. All right, guys, I'm tuning off right now, so I hope to see you again on the next video. Have a good night, everybody.